I love the sound of my own voice. Hey, let's give it up. Thank you. Itay, where's Itay? Is he in here? Has he put a great show together so far? I think so. The food was pretty good. The water was drinkable. Yes, yeah. Our sponsors, MaxWeb, Digistore, ClickBank. There's a bunch of great people. Without these people, none of this would be possible, and I want to thank them personally. Yeah, everyone who has sponsored this event, shown up. At my age, I've realized money is time, right? And you have spent your time here today, whether you're here in person or watching this video right here, and I'm going to try to respect your time you have given me. But I also argue I want to take a peek inside of my brain, and that time you so preciously purchased is borrowed. It's only temporary, okay? I also like to thank my wife and my kids for taking care of my dogs while I'm gone. I've got people who employ me, Brian in LA and John in Colorado. Thank you for letting me take a little siesta away from all of your work and coming down here. Adam, who flew me out here. A lot of people to thank. So I just want to take 1 minute to be humble. Because without that, none of this would be possible for me. All right, let's get to slide number 1. Perhaps. Perhaps not. Okay. Maybe. Maybe you need to turn it on. Wow, this is going to be an interesting talk. I have no idea. Yeah, please. Could we give a girl? Maybe it's a lady's touch. I'm going to bring you to the casino if you can get it to work. Whoa, it's like magic. All right. Hey, let's hear it for the photographer. Hey, let's hear it for the person who cleans the toilets. Oh, you guys are kidding me, right? Hey, look, I'm going to make this really short because there's lunch afterwards, and I really have to pee, okay? So, I told you I was going to respect your time. So, is anyone here in B2B? Raise your hand if you're in B2B. You can leave right now because you don't need a TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. 80% of your business is word of mouth, okay? And I will sum up this entire presentation. I told you I'm going to let you leave right away, okay? 95 of your 99 email problems today, data. Data, that's it. That's the whole presentation, all right? Now, I was reading this marketing article, and the marketing article title was called How Stories Sell, right? And it was 4 pages. And I was in the middle of this, reading intently, and I could not believe my eyes. By the time I was on page 3, it struck me. It was a story telling me how a story sells. So indulge me while I tell my story, okay? All right. So I've been at this email for a couple of decades. It was one of the first DMA email experience council. They had DMA, this Direct Marketing Association. It's a larger organization in America, and they got into email marketing in there, and they had a whole slew of people who are doing all these analytics. What does Yahoo think? What does Gmail think? Gmail wasn't even around back then, I don't think. What does AOL want to see? And the committee, and so I stepped up and I took a position to help direct that, okay? I've got a pretty extensive knowledge. I don't want to pretend I know everything, but I consider myself and you can self-proclaim yourself too, go ahead, a full stack marketer, all right? Some of the technical stuff I have been introduced to, and I believe there is an article, and this one isn't self-proclaimed, that I'm one of the top 25 most influential email marketers. Oh my God, is my head big. It's not gonna be able to fit out of that door. Be careful. Let's tell this story, let's go back in time. Bing, bing, you wanna close your eyes? You wanna kumbaya? That's fine, okay? Let's go back to 57. Wow, that was before I was born. And I'm an old man. And this jacket is 30 years old. You cannot buy a 4-button jacket. 1957. Beep, 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 beep. 1 month later. Woof. Woof, 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 woof. 1958. Oh my God, what have the Russians done? And now present day. So what happened in 1957? Sputnik launched. A little satellite that came out there went beep, beep, beep. 1 month later, they had Sputnik 2. Oh, that infuriated Americans. God forbid you have, if you guys want to piss off Americans, make a bigger pickup truck. We will get pissed. So in 1958, we scratched our heads and thought, well, what can we do? Where are all our physicists, our scientists who, get us in the space program? Well, they were all in Los Alamos building bombs. So the government did the best thing that they know how to do. They opened up their wallet. And I'm going to show you another trick. And they paid. And they paid, and they paid, and they paid. Lots and lots of money. NASA came out of there. ARPA came out of there. ARPANET came out of there. The internet, you ever heard of that? Right? The National Education and Defense Act came out of that. Now, during that process, they spent so much money at universities, they let kids, any kid, come to the university and learn about computers. And who was that towhead kid that showed up on the University of Illinois? It was me. And someone else out there taught me about computers. And this is probably one of the greatest untold history of computers. If you're a nerd in history, if you're a nerd in computers, I'd like to take you a peek behind the curtain over here. A lot of people think Silicon Valley, the East Coast, but this happened in the cornfields of America. And this program was called Plato. Maybe you've heard of this program called Castle Wolfenstein, where it came out of. Lotus Notes. There was a gentleman by the name of Ray Ozzie. Maybe anybody know who he is? He wrote Lotus Notes. He was, when Bill Gates stepped down as CEO of Microsoft, Ray Ozzie stepped up. Flight Simulator, Dungeons and Dragons, Term Talk, which is literally instant messaging. Quake and Doom have their roots down there. You could probably track down even Netscape Navigator and Mosaic. Where are they now today? Well, times change. Mood change. Chocolate tastes like chocolate, and sometimes I want to have vanilla. So in the email space, as we were building computers to handle transactional mail messages back and forth, the company I was working with were supporting this product called QMail. And you're probably familiar with SendMail, Postfix, XM right now. And QMail was written by this gentleman, Dan Bernstein. He's typically known as DJB. He's a mathematician, I believe possibly a physicist. at the University of Chicago. His claim to fame is to never watch a TV show. Why it was so popular as an email client is because he had a bug bounty on this thing that never got broken. Well, kind of did, but not really. It's highly secure. And so what did we write? They had virtual domains, and we wrote an authentication piece for virtual users and virtual domains. Bob from GoDaddy was our first customer. He spent a whopping $50 for his mail server out of his garage. We had people coming out of the woodworks for us for support. Some of the other people we've worked on is Amber Alert. Do you know what, have you heard of Amber Alert? Did you know that they started off as a marketing company? Yeah, so the feds support each state in there, and collectively together, they needed to get, if you lost a kid in Indiana on the border of Illinois, Illinois would have no idea. So they collectively, this marketing group, got together and put Amber Alert out. Maybe you've heard of Aruba.it. The IRS, does anybody pay taxes? Okay, you ever heard of them? The E-File Project in America, Bank of America, and the Weather Channel, just to name a few. So I would suspect maybe 23 years ago, 24 years ago, there was a gentleman by the name of Fred Lindbergh, and he wrote EasyMLM IDX, which is, you folks in the affiliate space probably know MLM as meaning multi-level market. That's not what it means in email. It means mailing list manager. And it's a distribution for effectively sending out lots of email. The Weather Channel was using it to send out high alerts for weather in your region, this product right here. Because we didn't have high volume mail servers back then. One machine could possibly send out 80,000 messages, max 24 hours it took. So we had to rewrite from the TCP/IP stack another method to send delivery. So Port 25 Power MTA probably came out during that time, shortly thereafter. Does anybody remember them? Message Labs, I don't know, Spark, I can't even remember. These companies buy each other out all the time, and I can't ever keep track of that. I think Oracle one year bought 3 email service providers, and they all showed up at like one of these shows. It was the most ridiculous thing ever. And we wrote a product called RoboMail, and that was it. I believe Fred Lindbergh and Cheetah Mail now is bought now by Experian, and I don't know if you guys have ever heard of them. Wow! Keith, sounds like you have a lot of experience, but I argue it's not the length of experience, but the depth of your knowledge. Do you know Henry Ford? You know him? He said man's greatest virtue is experience. And I say bullshit. Because man's experience without learning from his mistakes is nothing more than an idiot. If you've ever done big number theory, humble yourself for a second. I hate to tell you, me, much like you, are just average. Take your genetics away, because that determines your height, the color of your skin, the color of your hair, that kind of thing. In the world today, you're all, in this room, just average. All right, this is the way I think, too, that not all bad things in life are bad. There's some good in all bad things, including World War II. We had penicillin, radar, flu vaccines came out there, jet engine, plasma panel. We had recently, 3 years ago, I was here presenting before we had this thing called COVID. Right? You need some help? Want me to spell it out for you? COVID. What happened in COVID? What was, anybody know what the good thing happened in COVID is? Anybody realize it? Do we have an example here somewhere? The QR code came back. It was dead. It was technology 10 years ago. It was dead. People were like, who the hell's going to use a QR code? We're not going to buy it. But it actually made use right now, and actually in our badges today have QR codes. They're all over the world. And here's the other thing I think of. If you're the smartest and the person in the room, you should leave. Right? Anybody heard that expression? I say bullshit on this too. If you're the smartest person in the room, what I do, I like to teach. They all talked about courses, coursework over here, what coursework to take to get smarter and better. I say you need a mentor. There's 2 rules to a very successful enterprise, right? The first rule is never tell everything you know. And number 2 is what? Right, that's the joke, right? I call bullshit on this too, because there's just not enough time to hear all of my secrets. Okay, the bottom line really in reality is I don't know in email marketing what works. I really don't know, but I know a lot of stuff that doesn't work. Another loaded question you may have is that people will ask is, well, what do you want your business to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? Have you ever heard that? I argue the better question is, what don't you want to do? Okay, let's talk a little bit about email. Because really, if you do it the right way, it's not that hard. I'm telling you, it's really not that hard. Okay. There's a lot of misinformation out there. There were speakers at this show who suggested to do a few things too, which I'm not a big fan of. Feel free to touch the oven, but I'm gonna let you know that oven is hot. You may be one of those. I have 4 kids. One kid, I say, the oven is hot. The other kid, I have to tell him, touch the oven, okay? Look, a fool will learn from his own mistakes. A wise man will learn from others. So take a little step with me right now and learn a little bit. And also know, when I am speaking, I am not listening, and I like to remain teachable, okay? There's another couple of itemize. You'll see this coining words around of experts and gurus in the way. I don't particularly like these words, experts. If someone claims himself to be an expert in there, in the affiliate marketing and email marketing in any industry, electrician, plumber, whatever, the best thing they are guides. They're guides in this process, but I want you to trust your guides in this process. The first, number 1, probably I get asked all the time, is can I use a purchased email list? Can I scrape the web? And here is a nice URL, and I'll reveal the little secret afterwards. There are Gary V. Does anybody know Gary V? He's a motivational speaker. Here I have a story on this. There's a guy called Tim Robbins, and he is a motivational speaker as well. He learned at a young age that cursing during his performance offended about 12% of the people who was attending his seminars. He was losing money by cussing. He figured out the numbers behind it, and Tim Robbins no longer cusses during his performance. Gary V, on the other hand, full of bad mouth. What if I told you I could recoup 12% of your business and your bottom line doing absolutely nothing, just not dropping the F-bomb anymore? Would you do it? So Gary V gets asked this question: when does it make sense to buy an email list? It's a short little video in here. And he dodges the bullet a little bit. I will cut him some slack, really. He does dodge the bullet in here. But I want to present another slide. Anybody heard of a TEDx TEDx, right? The TEDx shows that they put on. Be careful. Even though TEDx, you think a reputable, informative thing that's going on here, it says the power of a cold email. Look, if someone didn't give you their email address and you scraped it off the web and sent them this thing called a cold email, I don't argue they're going to be so receptive from it. All right? Now, I don't want to get into word syntax, like is it God, is it Buddha, is it Allah, is it, the great outdoors, is it, the higher power, what, a cold email is something that someone didn't give you consent for. All right, here's the URL. Can I use a purchase email list? And this is from MailChimp. MailChimp has this domain for 14 years. This is 14 years. The mailbox providers, Yahoo, Gmail, Microsoft, AOL, everyone has been telling you, stop doing this. But do you like to touch the oven? Feel free. I'm going to tell you, the oven is hot. I want you to follow best practices. I know. I hate it myself. I hate this word best practices. I hate it. I hate the word common sense, right? If it was so common, wouldn't everybody have it, right? But some of the best practices in there will get you into the inbox. There's knowledge in there altogether. Any email service provider worth their salt has an onboarding process. They'll let you know all these technical words, to publish for your domain, to get on board, okay? I want you to follow the directions, all right? And if you don't know how to follow the directions, I'm gonna tell you what men do not like to do is ask for direction. We will drive around in a circle for 4 hours before we get to that uncomfortable stage of asking for direction. Simply ask. Did I tell you the winning strategy? Starts off with data. Now, when I started in the industry, I wasn't an email marketer. I never gave any information. I learned from you. Everything coming out of my mouth is not original, all right? It's all been learned from you. So you'll have to forgive me. They called it first party data. And now they call it zero party data. Is there a difference between, I give up. Content and consent. There's a lot of email service providers you can choose from, probably like 500, so what? Look for ones that have been a long time, ones that are reputable in the space, one that don't like spammers, that will kick spammers off, that's probably a good place to start for your list, okay? Build your list. This is a much better way to inbox your data. Build your list. I'm going to give you a really generic rundown how this works, okay? I'm going to roadmap it for you, okay? You're going to put a website up, Dogs Gone Wild. It's dogs that run off their leashes. And you're going to put a form on the page. A form for an email submit from one of your providers, right? You're going to buy traffic from Facebook, TikTok, Taboola, Outbrain, some other revenue place, and you're going to pop up an email submit, and you're going to collect your own data, all right? But here's where you go. Let's suppose you pay $1 a click coming in for this. You're going to have exit page traffic after the submit. Display traffic in there. So you're going to recoup a little bit of portion of your money on the back end for your media buy. And please, by all means, keep it simple. Keep it really simple to collect an email address, okay? Don't make it confusing. You don't have to overthink it and make it complicated. Look how generic this one is. It works. Now, the mantra for all email marketing, actually, marketing in itself is just testing. If you're a marketer, you just test. You're just a tester. You're not a knower. You just test a lot. And the mantra you want to do is test and learn. Okay? I want you to send your very first email out. Okay? You decided to collect a list. You're going to onboard on an ESP, and you've set up your domain, and you've done just about everything you possibly think is correct to do, right? And I want you to first send your first email, and that very first email, I want you to make it transactional. I want you to send it to yourself, and I want you to say something like, football practice has been canceled, and it has been rescheduled for Monday. If that email address that you just sent out with that very innocent message does not inbox at every mailbox provider, you have a much bigger problem. Do you understand that? Keep it really simple. If a transactional email that merely says something very innocent, no links, no one, if you can get away with it, no unsubscribe, the subject matter doesn't have an emoji in it, it's a very innocent email. It should inbox 100% at every location. If it does not, you are in for a battle because you are being evaluated like a credit score. Does anybody have a credit card? Okay. Have you ever applied for credit? Do you even know what credit is? Okay, you graduate from university. You've never had any credit. Your credit score is 0. I don't care if you're a doctor. You got your doctorate degree. If your credit score is 0, you're never going to get any money from the bank. If you're a crack addict with 400 credit score, you can get money from a bank, right? So this is a big, tough challenge in here. You've got a neutral reputation, and it's an uphill battle from here. The other thing I want to suggest to you is personalization. It gets overused. I don't want to bore you to death with it, but I also want to warn you about getting too personalized, right? Now that you've sent the email with my name, my date of birth, what my dog's names are, where I live, what time I get home from work, what my Facebook profile looks like. Wow, Keith, did you ever realize you have one ear bigger than the other one? Yeah. Don't remind me. Yeah, I do know that. Personalization, PetSmart does a really good job of it. It's personalized. My wife's name, Vicky. It's given her reward points in a summary. It says how many days, how many end of the month kind of thing that's going on there. It does a very nice job of personalizing the email. This will inbox 100% of the time. The other problem with inboxing is the subject line. Does anybody know what the best subject line to use that gets the most emails opened? Does anybody have any idea? What is it? Don't open? Okay, all right. For my wife calls me, it says this, I have oppositional disorder, right? So I will open this one. Actually, a blank subject line will have the most, it will also have the most complaints, but we humans cannot, our brain, when we see a blank email address or a blank subject line, we are compelled to open it. So what does your best subject line should be? It's one that allows the user and compels them to want to open up your email. I don't recommend using the blank one, but you could possibly once a year send a blank one and watch everything explode. Now, sometimes good email goes into the spam folder. It doesn't always get inboxing every single time. This is from the federal government about solar, their solar program. Can anyone imagine why the federal government, when sending an email about their solar program, would get into my junk box? Possibly a lot of people sending similar emails out there looking for solar panels, and it got caught in the filters. Sometimes it's just the nature of the beast. You're gonna run with the good, and you're gonna run with the bad in there. Now, Abraham Lincoln said, you should, better to let 1,000 guilty men go free than to condemn one innocent man. And as a postmaster with running an abuse desk and spam filterings, this is my philosophy too. I don't want to put emails in, I don't want to put your email from your grandmother into the spam folder. You know why? Because if I keep doing that, I make the spam folder ineffective. It just becomes inbox number 2. Oh, Keith, my email got into the promotional tab. Well, I tell you what, there's a lot worse places I could put your email. Okay, I'm going to give you this look. If it goes in the promotional tab, use annotations. Okay, Google has a markup language that you can use. Use annotations, outperform it. It's a great place to be is the promotional tab. Here's some inbox basics for those at home in your spare time. Some little strategies in there. If I'm I summarize it up, I'll give you the 15-minute short survey is there. I'm going to send an email. Hey, Grandma, football practices. Oh, you guys hate calling it football. Football practice is canceled. Can you pick me up at 5 o'clock? Okay, that inboxed, right? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the subject line to the subject line that I think I'm going to send for my offer, right? Did that inbox. Next, I'm going to change out the body of the message to have some content in. I'm going to send it. Did that inbox. Next, I'm going to take the links, start adding the links in there. Did that? Inbox. Next, I'm going to add the unsubscribe. Next, I'm going to add everything, the entire body of the message that I want to send out and see where, at what point did I add, when I added images, when I added links, when I changed the subject line, what point did it stop inboxing? Okay? And that you have then crystal clear identified the problem. Maybe you had a shared link in there that went on a rogue place. Here's some inbox basics. A welcome series, reactivation series, strategy, engagement, email flow, funnels, IP domain warm-up, measure, analytics results, basically the road less traveled. You want a short cheat right in here? Okay, Keith, it's too late. My emails are already going into the spam folder. Been doing this for a while. Help. Okay, the next 100 emails you send, I want you to get those people to reply back to that email. Okay? Your most engaged users in your list that you absolutely know, and I don't care if you cheat a little bit and put your brother and sister and grandmother in that list too, as long as they reply back to that email. That engagement, when someone replies back to an email, automatically puts your email address in their contact list. You automatically become trusted from the mailbox providers in those scenarios. Then slowly ramp up about 7 to 8% of volume and get to the point of your reputation being better. This actually happened in real life. Someone was using MailChimp and they were like, you guys charge too much. I'm going over to Sunbox, right? Because Sunbox was cheaper, but they did it in one day, right? And in one day, they tried to send their million messages yesterday to a million on a brand new IP address, and they all went into junk, right? And what we did is we convinced 100 people on the list to reply back to us. We offered them a free t-shirt, if they did, to send us their address. And after that, miracles happened. I want you to measure some of the basics that come in. I won't go over email caching or prefetch images in there. Hey, does anybody know about the Apple policy? It's prefetching stuff, and Google is prefetching images in there. Guess what? Google does not prefetch images if your message went into the spam folder. You can actually, if Google is prefetching images for your email, you know that person went into their inbox. Some basics I like to share with you. Please stop comparing yourself to other people. I am guilty of this all the time. I open up my refrigerator and say, I deserve more. Then I open up your refrigerator and say, you don't deserve that. Then I look at your opens, your clicks, your revenue that's coming in. Stop for a second. I want you to measure your results from yesterday, from last week, from last month, okay? We'll wrap this thing up with a little couple stories in here. Hey, I got a couple extra bucks laying around. Does anybody want any money? Ooh, you want another trick? Well, hold on one second. Okay, I got you. You know how to, you know how to motivate an American? Prepay him first for his traffic. Come on up here. Yeah, the absolute best way. Who are you looking at? Come here. Yeah, you. Yeah, you chimed in. Come here. Yeah, you. There you go. That's for participating in my, and who's the other guy over here who gave me the subject line? Is that you? Come on over here. Yeah. You know how to fix problems? You pay them. Hey, look, somebody said money isn't the solution to all your problems, but I tell you what, you can take a limo to them, right? All right, anybody else want some money? All right, let's regurgitate. Let's see if we can hear what's the best subject line you're supposed to use to get the most opens? I mean, I don't recommend it, but what was it? Was anybody paying attention? The blank one, right, there you go. I heard the kid the loudest. Hey, look at this, 19 years old, first time at an affiliate conference. All right, now your strategy shouldn't be sending 3 million spam messages. Your strategy should be sending 300 emails into the inbox. I'm gonna argue you'll make the same amount of money. From 3 million to 300. I want to thank the DMIEXPO again, everybody, for coming out. I have a few extra bucks. Buy you a drink out there. It's a small world. I wouldn't want to paint it. Be careful in the affiliate world. The toes you step on today may be attached to the you know what you're kissing tomorrow. I'd like to rule with kindness, and I'd also like to say humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's just thinking more of others. And if you'll indulge me, I'll send you off with a story from Sunday school. Pastor John, right? It's man in the hole. Man in the village, he falls in the hole. He's an email marketer, right? He falls in the hole. The priest comes by and says, "Do you need any help?" And he says, "Yes, I'm stuck in the hole." And the priest writes down a prayer and then throws it down the hole. Then a doctor comes by and he says, "Sir, it looks like you have fallen down the hole. Would you like some help?" "Yes, I have fallen down the hole. Could you help me out?" He writes down his prescription. He's like, "Take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning." Throws it down the hole. The town villagers come by, right? "Oh, he fell down the hole again." That dumb. Right? "You idiot." "I know. I did it again." Then someone else that you've met during this conference comes by the hole. And he asks, or she asks, or binary asks, or non-binary asks, or whatever those kids are talking about today. And he says down, "Do you need some help?" "Yeah, I sure could use some help." So he jumps in the hole. The man in the hole says, "Are you an idiot? Now we are both stuck here." But the other email marketer says, "Don't worry. I've been down this hole before. I know the way out." Thank you.